Perfect. Alrighty, so welcome tonight to NAHN's Finance Bootcamp or Treasurers Bootcamp. I feel like I've been mixing those words up pretty quickly. Really excited to have you tonight, and hopefully we won't take the full 2 hours, but thank you for sharing your evening with us. First, I'd like to say thank you. My name is Carly Zagers. I'm the interim treasurer for NAHN, and I am just so fortunate to have worked with the exceptional people on our finance committee. So the finance committee is Guillermina Solis, Lida Velez, I can never say it, sorry, Lida, Tony Ornelas, Julio Santiago, and Armando Riera. And I couldn't have done this without you all, and I hope that you all learned something from this incredible group of people tonight. So a special thank you to everyone, and thank you all for being leadership in your own chapters. The reason we exist is because of you. So here we are. This is just a brief overview for tonight. And like I said, I don't think it'll take this whole time, but so I'll go over the quarterly rebate process. Lita will lead best practices. Guillermina will do tax processes. And then I'll finish this out with some strategic planning, spending, and then fundraising and basic policies that were just recently approved. And sorry for the, looks like it's jumping around in terms of sizing, so hopefully it doesn't mess up. All right, so we'll get started with the quarterly rebate process. This is the specific language. The finance committee worked very hard to put together quite a few policies that were approved by the board last Tuesday. So a lot of tonight's presentation is based on a lot of those changes that you'll hopefully be seeing. Some of the work we've been doing was a process, but no, it was never written down. So if we don't have something written down and as an informal process, it's hard to hold people accountable or new directions. And if new chapters come in, now we have something to refer to in terms of a process that we can all follow. So the formal language for the rebates is that we will, non-national will collect the membership dues. I'm going to go to the next slide because actually I did this to be a little more clear. So important elements. So non-national will be responsible for collecting dues, both paper and electronic. National or MCI will create a spreadsheet to list line by line all dues that are eligible for rebate on a quarterly basis. Chapter presidents and treasurers are responsible to check this list. Any discrepancies, please email back concerns. You have about 5 business days to get that done. If you miss it, it's not that big of a deal. We'll get it all figured out, but we're just trying to create a good process. And then within that 2 weeks, a time period, you should have, we have that 2 weeks to check the list, and then the ACH deposits will occur the last day of the month. So don't worry, there's still time. We will also do a final year-end check as well. So if you're missing a quarter or don't have time to get through one of the quarters, checks to make sure everything's okay, it's not the end of the world. You won't miss out on any of the money. That it's important to know that it's all good and it's just a new process. So why are we doing this? Well, previously a deposit was made without any receipt or reference. So it left chapters guessing who was included in that deposit. And what that means is each chapter would just have money just dropped into their account from non-national, and it might be $45. And because it's just $45, you have no idea necessarily where it's coming from, right? So I can assume that was a single member and 2 student members. It might not be. So we have to make sure, and I was expecting 2 regular members and a student. So really understanding what money's coming in and out of your account is best practices. So creating this this process where we have like a line item receipt for the financials helps with the record keeping. And it's, again, best practices to keep all deposits and withdrawals that have a receipt. So just getting money dumped into your account without knowing where it's coming from isn't always the best thing to do, and it will give us a point of reference if there's any discrepancies. We also wanted to create this process so all chapters know when MCI will be sending forms and depositing the money. I feel like that's been kind of hit or miss for the last couple months, and because we created this, MCI is very clear now on when they need to be sending things and when money is due to chapters, and that way chapters also now know when to expect things. We cannot have expectations without written guidelines, and so that's what this effort also included. And finally, one of the big pieces of experience when I was a treasurer in Nebraska, and kind of what I've been hearing as well is we have a really lack of communication between non-national and at the chapters. And hopefully this boot camp and this chapter rebate process will increase a way that we can communicate with chapters and national. So this is the rebate schedule. So in Q1, it'll include, and again, this is not current, so we will hopefully be walking into this process. Oh, and I see a big error. So I want to take this back. I already see an error. I'm so sorry. I want to take this time to look at the quarter. So January, February, March will be paid in April, and then this should be July, not June. I apologize. So Q2, April, May, June should be in July. So it's always the following month of the quarter that you'll be getting the payments for this. And when we look at the when you look at the payment schedule, the point that we were trying to do with this for is processing 47 chapters on a monthly basis, especially with these expected receipts, is very tedious. And so doing this on a quarterly basis will allow MCI the time to be able to put this work together and making sure that it's cross-checked and correct. So let me see, I'm going to check the chat really quickly. Newsletter, reestablished chapter. I had no idea we were given any dues from national until a few months ago. Exactly. I have been paying for a PO box over 2 years. Sandra, that's a great question. Let me get back to you on that, okay? Perfect. I'll get to those questions in a second. So this is the rebate schedule. And again, look at, and again, if you're taking a screenshot of this, please pardon my already established issue, and it's July, not June. Okay. Alrighty, and then, so this is, so I want to go into what this should look like. This is what you should be expecting from MCI in the middle of the month on those quarters. So you're going to get a spreadsheet. I tried to take a snapshot of the spreadsheet, and I use the Miami chapter as an example. I did pull out all the personal information, but this is what you should be getting. So it'll have the tabs across the bottom. And of course, these are from what MCI has already been doing. So these months don't correlate with the current schedule, but it will be correct as we move forward. So you'll see a tab for each month, and it should be associated with the total amount. One of the big things that I like to check is this member type. So looking as a student, January had a student, and then you look in February and there's a student, a TYGM, that's a 2-year general member, and it should be $50. And you can go through and check, it's like, yep, that's $50. A general member should get 25 for a total of 85. Well, then you go to the last tab on that total tab, and from each month, Miami chapter should have a deposit of $105. And that's just supposed to be a quick way to kind of balance where the deposits are coming in. And if you have your list from your membership list, if you want to cross-reference that just to make extra sure that you're getting reimbursed for everything or everyone that you have on your roster list, you can. This should be being pulled directly from the roster list and acts as a receipt. Let's see here. What is the rebate for the other member categories? Danielle, can you pop on and discuss those codes for the member types?
Yes. So you want to know the rebate amounts for the other categories?
What is the rebate? What is the rebate for other member categories? Yeah.
Let me pull that up. It is on the website. It's just the difference between having a national and a chapter membership. There's a chart. I'm happy to put a link in the chat, and I will get to that in just a second. Sorry.
And then the rebate for other member categories. So like emeritus, what's the rebate for emeritus? Do you know, Danielle?
It is $15.
Okay, perfect. And then the affiliate, do you know the affiliate?
Let's see, affiliate is 25.
Perfect. I think that covers the 5 categories. Michelle, is that correct? Do you have any other questions about that? Okay, hold tight on that. And then
that's good.
Okay, perfect. And are you still getting your monthly rosters? Absolutely. This does not replace your monthly rosters, this spreadsheet is to act as like a receipt for that deposit in your account. So just like if you're balancing your budget at home, or if you're looking at the accounts at home, money doesn't just randomly pop into your account, right? So when money comes in, you know where it's from. And so when we have that deposit, we want for all of you to have a receipt for your chapter minutes to know what money is coming into your account. When will we start receiving these spreadsheets? Who will receive this spreadsheet? Chapter president, treasurer, president only. You should start receiving this in July. We're going to have this process start in July for a hopefully very easy, fluid transition month. And then both the president and treasurer will receive it. So Danielle is in charge of getting that email. The chapter president and treasurer who are currently listed. And if you have not filled out your updated information, we won't get it to the right people. But if you have filled it out, we will get it to the president and treasurer. And in the middle of the month, you have those 2 weeks to return with any major issues or discrepancies. And then the money will come at the end of the month. Does that help? Okay. Perfect. So this is real. I mean, it should just be a super basic worksheet that shows us where the money is coming from. One of the pieces of feedback that we received and the finance committee was really adamant about is communication from nationals to what money they're getting. So this is kind of our effort to do that. And again, we really want to try this for the next year or so to make sure that to see how this process works out. And in the next year or whatnot, we will be doing an assessment to make sure that it's going smoothly, if it's a burden or a barrier, and what we can do to adjust it, because the goal is for this to truly be an asset and helpful. So this is not a forever, this is how we're going to do it for the rest of our lives kind of thing, but how we hopefully are going to do it over the next year or so and then reevaluate. So if you have issues, just definitely email us as we're going. All right. So in relation to the year-end closing, to the chapter and quarterly rebates, we're also going to institute this new policy. Say that again?
Thank you.
Was there a question? Nope. Okay. So for the year-end closing process is a way for us to communicate from non-national to the chapter level and chapter level back to non-national for any discrepancies that we might have. Why this came up, we were really working on cleaning up the books of NAHN and making sure all of our spreadsheets were balanced. And one of the things that came up was we had $2,300 of outstanding money to chapters dating all the way back until 2018. And we believe that that is I don't believe it. It is your money and you all need to have that money, but we needed to figure out a process so that it doesn't happen again. And so this process will help with that. The big pieces from it is that the year-end financial report, you will receive a report with all of the transactions in a single spreadsheet. And you'll get that in Q1 of the following part of the year. So January 2022, you will receive the 2021 report. Both the chapter president and treasurer will be contacted for this. We will want a read receipt upon getting that information. And then we're giving until the end of Q1 to bring any financial concerns or discrepancies. So if there's $20 even at question, please bring that forward, and we would want to make sure that that's okay. Conversely, or in addition to that, taking this year-end closing process as a national level a piece is the non-national team. The finance team will go through and look at all of the chapter year-end reports. And if we see some major discrepancy or something where like a payment might have bounced back or just something that might be wrong, we'll also reach out in order to make sure that that's done. And once both chapter and national are happy with the report, we will close that year. And therefore that book cap kind of idea of the year-end closing process will be done. And it'll feed into the tax process, which we'll be discussing in a little bit. So before we get to the next piece, I wanted to stop and see if there's any questions about this rebate process.
Hi, Carly. This is Sandra.
Sandra?
I was kind of, I put in the chat, I wasn't, I honestly didn't know we were supposed to get those funds, but because it's been a while, do we lose our funds if we didn't get them?
Nope. We still have, I believe there's certain chapters, and Danielle and I have been discussing the process to get that $2,300 refunded to the appropriate chapters. At this point, your money should have been deposited to your account if you have an ACH set up. Like when we were with First Point, everyone was just getting that money deposited. So this is just an additional step to that process where we're adding documentation and hopefully empowering chapters to be able to monitor those funds and making sure that National's doing right by each chapter as well, if that makes sense. And I believe, Sandra, I think that you might have some of that outstanding fund sitting there. So we will be in touch for that as well.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions for this process? Again, I don't want this to be a burden, and the finance committee was doing this because we don't want it to be a burden. We want it to be an asset and just increase communication and clarity with national to chapter level work. Armando, you unmuted. I'm ready for you.
Okay, I have my pom-poms here. I want to say great job.
Oh, thanks.
Got it. Thank you.
I'm so happy that Armando's here with his pom-poms. You all, that's how we feel. So I hope you feel that way too. All right. Thank you, Armando.
Yeah,
Any
thank
other
you.
Come on in.
Any other questions about the rebate process?
My mom just wants to know if she can back you over here.
How would I know if the audio's on or not?
I was like, if your phone is on, it would be great if you can mute. All right, we're going to go to the next one then. If we have other questions, don't hesitate.